is this TV so? Oh, that's why. Okay, and now some banana and avocados. Cause it's the classic duo. This movie is about, I started it earlier, and I was like, let me save it for later, because I was like, oh, it's pretty interesting. Do you see the booty? Is it getting bigger? Anyways, this movie is about a girl who's, she overspends, and she's basically going bankrupt, and this guy who, basically the person who takes care of her taxes and her money and everything, has been warning her. So he goes to one of his close friends who are like a psychologist. And he's like, I think you need to help her, bro. And that's where I got where he's like, okay, I'm gonna help her. So basically he's like undercover pretending that he just met this lady when really he was set up to meet her. And yeah, let's see where this goes. It's called A Lady in a Jam. Lady in a Jam. American comedy film, 1942. Irene Dunne, Patrick Knowles, Ralph Bellamy. I always like those type of names. Kind of sounds like salami. I really like salami, bro. When I was eating, when I used to eat meat, when I used to eat pork too, salami was my favorite sandwich at Subway's. Fuck, man. What's that combo? It's like the meat combo where you put everything. Ugh, but the salami with turkey, honey mustard. Fuck, man. Good old days. Fuck. I haven't ate pork since like 5 years now. But meat, it's going on a year and a half now. Because meat, I usually do like a fast where I won't eat for like 6 months meat, and then, but now it's like I just don't even want it. But sometimes I do want a nice hot dog, man, from a hot dog stand. What do you miss about meat, bro? I miss chicken strips at Harvey's. A nice Harvey's burger. Fucking a nice hot dog. And a nice steak. That's what I miss. Everything else can go. I had enough of chicken. I had enough chicken, bro. Unless it's like General Tower or like sticky chicken from Houston's. Oh, that shit is good. Okay, let's get to the movie. I'm talking too much. Alright, so Lady in a Jam. Lady in a Jam.
Well, I'm very much interested in this report of Dr. Enright's.
Do you mean the relationship of biochemistry to mental cases?
Yes, he's one of our bright young men.
He's rather amusing, too. The other day he suggested that
the other
real
setup was better,
psychopaths are wandering around the streets. That once a patient gets enough sense to visit a psychoanalytical clinic, he's half cured.
Well, that sounds reasonable. Well, Billings.
All right.
Dr. Ellsworth, Mr. Billingsley.
Okay.
How are you?
Won't you sit down?
Yeah.
Well, what brings you here?
Well, I'm pretty worried about Jane Palmer.
Is she ill?
Well, her extravagance has finally caught up with her. She's broke. And I'm afraid when she finds out about it, she might do something desperate.
Well, what can we do to help you?
Well, old Hilton Head Palmer was a good friend of mine. He did plenty for this foundation, and I think it's up to the foundation to do something for his granddaughter.
Is she a mental case?
Well, I think she's nuts.
Well, why don't you have her come in here for a consultation?
It'd be a whole lot simpler to send the foundation after her with a butterfly net.
Is she the hysterical type?
She wrote the book.
Before you go any further, I think you better have Dr. Enright in here.
Yes, sir?
Have Dr. Enright come in right away, please.
Sorry, Dr. Enright's in consultation.
Well, you seem to be in a pretty nervous state yourself. Can I pour you a glass of water?
No, but I'll settle for something stronger.
Oh, I think we might be able to take care of that, too.
There you go. It's much better.
So the intricate occurrences of our subconscious mind have to pass through the 5 doors of our senses. Now take the famous case of Robert Browning. His outstanding sense was that of touch. He used to fondle an apple before writing the lines of his beautiful poetry. And I'm certain that a subconscious reminiscence of his early youth disengaged his genius. So with hearing, smell,
Well, that's true, Dr.
It's not the same.
No, burning
It was better when the TV was
It's like
back.
narcotic to me. I feel quite helpless and strangely touched. And I become irritable and moody.
I'm certain that this has a relation to your past. Now, what's your earliest recollection of this sensation?
Well, when I was 16, I was on a mountain trip. We camped overnight. It was full. There was a boy.
Obviously, it's your subconscious crying for release. I realize it's a far cry from burning leaves to a new hat, but the next time it occurs, why don't you go on a shopping
So I
spree?
make sure it's solid.
The only one who could possibly have any objection to that is the husband.
Yes, of course. Now, as I was saying, our libido is frequently connected to our sense of
Okay,
taste, and
that's
we
it.
often find... That suggests something to you?
Yes, I found a strange lipstick in my husband's car, and I rubbed a little on his lips while he was sleeping, and he began to talk.
And what happened then?
We were divorced.
Stimulez votre croissance et vos revenus avec Google Ads. Touchez les clients à haut potentiel sur tout le réseau Google. Search, shopping, YouTube.
Does the smell of cigarette smoke do anything to you, Dr. Enright?
Oh, not especially. I don't mind smoking.
Dr. Enright, after your lecture at the club, so many of our members wanted to ask questions, but they didn't dare. That is why we came to see you.
We're so interested in all the things you know and say.
Psychiatry is an exact science, madam. If we know the ingredients, we can compute the results.
We have so many intimate questions we'd like to ask you, Dr. Enright.
Dorothy, I'm sure Dr. Enright only answers intimate questions by appointment.
Of course, ladies, I'm always available for consultations. If you'll check with my secretary on the way out.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good afternoon. Goodbye, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Bruh. She left it on purpose.
You looking for these, Miss Allen?
Mrs. Allen,
Oh, no, you're not married.
what makes you say that?
It's quite plain, despite your air of superiority and sophistication.
Why, you're almost rude.
I'm a doctor, and my approach to any problem is purely scientific. Why don't you get rid of these obstacles that stand between your desires and your fear of the consequences?
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, come now, you're not going to let one clumsy experience disgust you with the whole world, are you? Jasmine. Where's your home?
Atlanta. I left there when I was 18 years old.
I remember Atlanta. Lovely southern nights.
A big golden moon. The smell of jasmine in the air.
Don't torture yourself. Change your perfume. Go back to Atlanta, see the boy, then come back and marry the man who loves you.
But you're wrong, Doctor. I promise you.
Quiet. And hang on to your gloves.
I beg your pardon.
She want that man.
Dr. Enright?
Yes?
My name's Billingsley.
Of course, Dr. Billingsley.
I'm not a doctor, I'm a businessman.
Business office is on the next floor.
I'm fully aware of that fact. Dr. Brewster thought you might be of some assistance.
Oh, it's
I'm
not
in
his friend.
trouble.
It's
Woman?
A young woman.
Well, of course, I'd be very glad to discuss your case with Dr. Brewster.
Well, Dr. Brewster and
I'm a
I...
consulting psychiatrist, Mr. Billingsley, not a practitioner, so if you'll excuse me.
You're a bit of a stuffed shirt, too, aren't you?
Perhaps, but I really am busy.
Now, young man, just get down off of your high horse. I want to talk to you about Miss Palmer.
I'm sorry, Mr. Billingsley, but I'm in the midst of a very important experiment, and at 4:30 I have to address... Did you say Palmer?
Yeah. Jane Palmer. The young lady whose money keeps this foundation going and makes your important experiments possible.
Oh, what's the matter with her?
Well, she's about to go broke.
And what do you want me to do?
Well, money doesn't mean anything to her. She has no sense of responsibilities. I want you to see if you can snap her out of it. You think you can?
Yes, of course. It's merely a mental disturbance, which I'm sure can be explained by her repressed wishes, emotional conflicts, and the interaction of complexes.
Oh, simple as that, huh?
The underlying cause is usually found in the subconscious mind and must be brought into awareness, which of course involves the question of time. Where is she now?
Right here in New York.
No, I mean at this moment.
Oh, at this moment, she's at Carter's on Fifth Avenue trying to waste some more money.
Yes, I think I can make it. Miss Martin, I'm leaving the building and I'll be back at 4 o'clock. Will you cancel all intervening appointments?
Yes, Doctor.
Excuse me.
Hey, just a minute. You mean to say that you think you can straighten Jane Palmer out between now and 4 o'clock?
Of course.
You got anything to drink around here?
In the thermos on the desk.
Got anything stronger than water?
Stronger?
Or
Let me see. Yes, there's something or other in the bottom drawer.
20-year-old bourbon. That been here since Christmas?
Yes, will it do?
not been here for
Well.
years.
Ought to help. Will you out of a snort?
No thanks, never touch it.
Teetotaler, huh?
No, psychiatrist.
Oh. Well, I don't know anything about this psychiatrist business, but if you talk to Jane Palmer the way you talk to me, she'll pick you like a low-hanging apple without even a stretch.
It's very nice.
I'll show you
It's a
good.
splendid piece.
Or zoomed in.
This is nice, too. Oh, dear. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm like a little boy with a birthday cake. My eyes are bigger than my appetite. Never could make up my mind.
Well, they're both very stunning on you.
Well, maybe I could take them both. Never thought about that. My brain isn't functioning
Oh, I think I
today.
know what
If
you
I
mean.
took them both, I wouldn't have to make up my mind, would I?
No, just-
That makes sense, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Well, let's see. That's these two. All right, we'll send those out. And this, and this, and this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is my lucky number. Always bet on 5 when I go to the races. A lot of people don't believe in numerology, but I couldn't live without it.
just
Well,
slipped on
thanks so
something.
much. And don't tell me how much they are. I want that to come as a surprise.
Oh, pardon me, Miss Palmer. Mr. Carter is very anxious to have a chat with you.
Oh, how intriguing. Mr. Carter's such a nice man. That's his office there, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you. Hello.
Oh, my dear Miss Palmer, so charming of you to drop in.
Well, it's so charming of you to ask me.
As usual, you have an answer for
Well.
everything.
Well, remember the old adage, charming as a charm does.
Yes, how true. Won't you sit down?
I still want to be in the
You're
video.
getting younger and more beautiful every day.
Well, I never let anything worry me.
You're very fortunate.
Things you worry about never really happen.
Well, I'm terribly worried right now. Perhaps you can help me.
Well, I'd be glad to.
Well, I have a letter here
Hello?
from Mr. Billingsley.
Oh, it's
He's
not.
your executor, isn't he?
Executor, guardian, everything. And he'd be a really charming man if he weren't so fussy.
This letter places me in a very awkward position.
Was something happened to Mr. Billingsley?
I hate to say it, but he asks us to refrain from granting you any further credit.
Oh, don't pay any attention to him. Every time he sends me an unpleasant letter, I just tear it up. Nothing ever happens.
Well, I want you to know how embarrassing this is for me.
What is?
Why, this matter of credit.
Well, you're not going to pay any attention to that letter.
Oh, but I'm afraid that I'm forced to.
Well, Mr. Carter, if Mr. Billingsley means more to you than I do, I'm just not coming in this place anymore.
Well, I don't want you to feel that we're unappreciative.
You're not the least bit appreciative. And when I said you were charming, I was just making conversation.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't try to apologize. Just tell your man not to bother sending out those things I ordered today, because if you do send them, I positively refuse to wear them. Even if you come crawling to me on your hands and knees.
That looked like an interesting trailer.
Milton,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
should be standing at attention.
Sorry, miss, but I'm having a little ignition trouble.
I don't care anything about that. I want to get away from here. I wouldn't be found dead in front of this place. If you want to have ignition trouble, this is a very inopportune time to have it.
These things happen sometimes, miss.
Well, you should anticipate it. I pay you well. You get Thursdays and every other Sunday off. There's no excuse for ignition trouble. Especially out in front of a place where I've just been grossly insulted.
Miss, I didn't break down on purpose.
Are you being insolent?
Trying not to be.
Well, if you're not insolent by nature, you don't have to try not to be. Milton, are you paying attention? Milton, are you paying attention?
I'm trying not to.
Well, I don't see why I should waste my breath if you're not going to pay attention.
Look, this is a democracy. I'm an American. My ancestors fought and died in the Revolution.
So did mine.
Well, in your case, they killed the wrong ancestors.
Well, of all the...
Let me tell you another thing. You're just a butter patty. You've had it soft for so long, you forget there are other people in the world. And besides, you owe me 2 months back pay.
I have nothing to do with paying the help.
Well, I'm still 2 months behind.
I've heard enough, Milton. Get in and drive me home immediately, and when you get there, you can look for another position.
How about driving yourself home? And forget the back pay, you're probably going to need it.
Under no circumstances will I give you a recommendation.
There he is.
May I help you?
I'm not in the mood for any more impertinence.
I'm not trying to be impertinent, merely helpful.
Well, if I need some help, I'll ask for it.
If you're looking for the starter button, there it is, right
Yes,
there.
yes, I know. I'm a little new at this.
I'd be glad to drive you anywhere you're
Oh,
going.
no, I'll manage if you just get out of my way, please.
Hey, what's going on here?
Yes, did I bump into something?
I'm afraid so.
Well, it's all your fault. You got me all flustered.
Listen, lady, who do you think you are?
I know very well who I am.
I'm sorry, mister. I'm afraid it was my fault.
She's driving, isn't
I'm
she?
sorry if I gave you a little bump.
Oh, a little bump, eh? Just take a look at that mess.
Well, I said I was sorry. If you were a gentleman, you'd give a lady a little more room.
Let me see your driver's license.
Don't raise your voice to me like that.
I'm standing on my rights as an American.
I don't care
demand to
what
see your
you're
license.
standing on him. Even if I had whatever it is you're talking about, I wouldn't show it to you.
Maybe you'd show it to a cop, though, eh?
Well, I don't see why people are so unreasonable. Look, if you could help me get this thing started, I'd be on my way.
The same little button again.
This one.
Now put your foot on this pedal down here and pull that lever down towards you. Not out.
Oh, that's where I was wrong before I had it up. Thank
Sure
you
you're
so
all right.
much. I'm fine now.
Hey, take it easy.
Better get out from behind that wheel.
Well, why should I? That cab was
Do as
worth...
I say.
I'm not taking orders from strangers.
Yes, you are. You better hurry. Here comes a cop. You don't want a jail sentence, do
Well, I
you?
didn't do anything.
Someday they're going to make a law about you women drivers.
Someday they're going to make a
It's
law
all
about
my
taxi.
fault. I knocked the wheel
I
out.
don't care who knocked what. Come on, let me see your license, sister.
License. What's all this talk about?
Can't we straighten
license?
this whole thing out without so much fuss?
Well, I want to know who's going to straighten out my fender.
Send him away.
You can't push me around, sister. I know my rights.
Rights? Why can everybody else have rights? I don't
Here
have
she
rights.
is, officer. I was drawn to the curb where I have a perfect right to be. Went out of a clear
It's
sky.
all
I think
my
you're a very
Right into my
insulting man.
Your fault. I'm insulting? Insulting? Oh, take a look at my car. Who's going to take a look at it? Just a minute, buddy. One at a time. Officer, take a look at that car. I've only had it a couple of months, and look at it. Don't get excited. I'm looking.
Damage seems to be very slight.
Slight. What's your idea of a serious accident?
Were you driving that car? In a way, yes.
You are not. Pipe down. I know my rights. Women like that should be put in jail.
Officer, may I ask a question?
Sure, shoot.
Isn't there a penalty for drunk driving?
Why? Are you implying that I'm
I'm
drunk?
not implying anything.
Well, you better not.
That was nice.
What do you think you're going to do?
Drive this young lady home.
Oh, you ain't going to push me
No
around.
one's pushing you.
But I want to know who's going to take care of my bent fender.
Perhaps you're right. There are too many cabs on the street anyway.
Well, ain't that cute? Hey, officer, they're trying to make a getaway.
See your license.
But I want to know who's going to take care of my bent fender.
Is this car insured? I'm quite sure it
The
is.
cops
isn't
were
it,
like
dear?
that today.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, dear.
Imagine.
Well, of all things.
All right, get going. You're blocking traffic.
But what about my car?
All right, come on. What do you want to do? Get run over?
Wait a minute. I demand justice. Ain't I got any rights as a citizen? What about me? I'm a citizen, too. She hit me first. Yeah, well, what do you call that? A love pat?
This
It's
cop
nice
is
of you to do
weird.
this, but I'll have to ask you not to make any more fresh remarks.
I've been fresh.
Don't you remember what you said back there?
Oh, I did that to keep you out of trouble.
Then you didn't mean it.
No.
Oh, that's all right. I never allow anyone to take it.
It's like, what are you yelling at me for? Go to the insurance company. Let them take care of it. Which is better, because then not everyone's thing is going to go high. Well, actually, no. It's better for her. That's fucked up.
This with me. Positively no one.
You might have gone to jail.
Oh, I'd have talked myself out of that somehow.
You always talk your way out of bad situations.
When I'm in the right.
Do you think you were in the right buffing people all over the street?
Well, don't you?
Do you ever stop to think of the rights of other people?
Not when they're in the wrong. Well, you turn here at the next corner. You should have turned back there. I forgot to tell you.
Is this the main entrance?
Yes, this is it. Well, thanks very much.
Stay right where you are, and I'll hold the door for you.
Oh, no, you don't need to bother.
I believe in doing things properly. You're used to service, and I'm going to see that you get it.
Well, after all, I suppose I could get out by myself in an emergency. Well, thanks again. You've been very charming.
I don't wish to be bold, but now that Milton's gone, I'd like to apply for the position.
What position?
As chauffeur?
Oh, I forgot about it. But you don't look like a chauffeur.
I think I drive very well.
But you don't talk like a chauffeur.
I can produce references, and besides, I need the job. If I'm not stepping out of my place too much, I might suggest that you need a chauffeur pretty badly.
Oh, well, if you're not joking, I'll be very happy to grant you an interview sometime.
Could you do it now?
Well, yeah, I might as well get it over with. Come in, come in.
Oh, shit. This guy's smooth, eh?
Any calls, Stevens?
No, miss. Mr. Billingsley is waiting to see you in the study.
Oh, is he? Well, I want to see Mr. Billingsley. Just make yourself comfortable. Oh, there you are, Mr.
The audacity
Billingsley.
for
Am I
me.
going to give you a piece of my mind?
Well, that won't be any novelty.
No time for joking.
Your secretary and I have been going over some of your recent checks, and I can't find anything to joke about.
Why did you send that horrible letter to Mr. Carter?
I'm only trying to keep you out of jail.
Well, there may be somebody going to jail, but I won't be the one.
Will you leave us alone for a few minutes?
I'll call you if I want you, Josephine.
Here's a check made out for $10,000 to a dog and cat hospital.
Well, somebody has to take care of the poor thing.
Here's one for $7,500.
Are you waiting for someone?
No, I'm waiting to be interviewed.
For what?
Well, I hope to be the new chauffeur.
You're a nice-looking young man. And if I were you, I'd sneak quietly out of that door and run for my life.
Why did you have to get into a mess like this? What do you think money is, confetti?
Is it all right to take this room now?
Who are these men?
They're from the sheriff's office,
What are they doing here?
taking inventory.
Well, I don't need an inventory. I know everything in this house backwards.
They always take an inventory before an auction.
Who's having an auction?
I didn't
Your
realize
creditors.
You're being ridiculous and paternal.
3848.
Pardon me, gentlemen, but you don't need to bother with whatever you're doing.
We got 2 more rooms to inventory.
Well, Mr. Billingsley's had his little joke. You may go now.
We can't till we're done.
If you don't leave at once, I'll call the police.
If you do, we'll have to pinch them for interfering with the law.
And you're not joking.
I've been trying to warn you about this for the past 5 years.
Warn me about what?
Bankruptcy, and it looks like she's here.
You mean to say there's nothing left in my estate?
Well, if there is, I can't find it.
You can't pull the wool over my eyes. I know something about business. And if you can't explain where my money's gone and get it back, you're going to find yourself in a very serious predicament.
I'm only trying to help you.
Help me? If you were trying to help me, you wouldn't bring these men here to humiliate me. And I know something about law, too, and absconding and things like that.
And what?
Well, I'm not saying you've done any of these things, but if you have, I'm going to see that you're punished.
If I hadn't been so fond of your grandfather, I might lose my temper.
You don't need to threaten me.
In spite of the things you're saying, I'll try and salvage what I can from the wreck. I'll see you at the auction Friday.
Friday? You intend to have an auction here Friday?
The sheriff does.
Well, you'll have to make it another day. I'm having a kiddie party Friday.
I heard about that, and I told your secretary to cancel it.
What? You're trying to ruin me socially as well as financially. If I were a man, I'd throw you out of this house. Would you be kind enough to throw Mr. Billingsley out?
Mr. Billingsley, you're being very naughty, and I must ask you to leave.
Gladly.
That was very nice of you.
Oh, I'm only too happy to be of service.
What's your name?
Enright.
Oh. Well,
Oh.
I'm so upset I
She's
forgot
so
what we were going to
rude,
talk
right?
about.
You were going to grant me an
says
interview.
that?
Chauffeur, you remember?
Oh, stupid
It's
of
like
me.
nice to meet
Better
you.
get your dough in advance, Enright.
Would you ask those 2 men to leave?
I'm afraid that would be interfering with the law.
Oh, come on, Enright. Ask us to leave.
You might at least take off your hats in the presence of a lady.
We just don't rude things.
I don't know why I'd bother with a pair of hoodlums. Won't you sit down?
But isn't it customary to stand at attention?
Well, you don't have on a uniform, and I can be very democratic in an emergency.
I like this.
You do have a uniform.
But not with me.
You haven't always been a chauffeur, have you?
How did you know?
Oh, I can tell.
Oh, that's amazing.
Uh-huh. What were you before?
Doctor, but I've been detoured.
By a woman.
Getting a little too high.
How do you know all these things?
I can tell. I leave everything to numerology and astrology and things like that. It's much more reliable than thinking for myself. Do you have any references?
I can get some.
Ah. Well, now, let's see. What else must I ask you?
My habits?
Do you drink?
No,
Smoke?
not on duty.
Why do you wear those glasses?
My habit?
I think you make a much better appearance without them.
Oh, thank you.
As a chauffeur, I mean.
I'd like to feel that I could be more than a chauffeur.
Oh, no. That will never do. I never allow any familiarity.
Well, I didn't mean it that way, but having once been a doctor, I thought I might be able to help you out with some of your problems.
Oh, well, as long as you didn't mean it the other way.
Women don't interest me.
Oh, I forgot about that other one.
I can't, unfortunately.
Did she leave scars?
No.
No scars? That's odd. They usually do. You understand why I'm asking you all these questions?
Oh, yes, it's very clear.
Lots of women say things they don't mean, but I'm not like that.
Oh, that's obvious.
Most chauffeurs feel it their duty to fall in love with their mistresses. It's happening to my friends all
That
the
could never
time.
happen in our case.
Why do you say that?
What month were you born in?
March.
Well, that's what I thought. You're Pisces, practical, intellectual, high-strung.
Pisces.
Oh, how interesting. Do you know about those things, too? What are you?
Capricorn.
That's the goat, isn't it?
Always. You see, Capricorn and Pisces can never meet under favorable
Never.
circumstances, especially during the autumnal equinox.
How interesting. Do you know anything about palms?
Well, only when I have to.
Enright, I spy.
Go on about your business.
Is this an oin or a vase?
If you break it, you'll find out.
Thanks a lot.
What do you see?
Very unusual.
That's what I've been told.
The Arizona and a man. Have you ever been in love?
When I was a little girl, I was 8 and he was 10. But that's all over now.
And you never married.
Women with money don't have to marry.
Has it ever occurred to you to marry for some other reason? A home? Family?
Heavens, no. My father used to say the poor people were the only ones who could afford to have families. Of course, he was married at the time, so I think he must have been joking. I hope I'm not talking too much.
Oh, I want to hear you talk, and that way I can find out more about you and be more helpful.
Most people won't listen to me.
Well, most people have little sense of intellectual companionship.
Isn't it true? Well, this has been so interesting, I've forgotten to ask you what salary you want.
Don't you think we ought to leave that until after the auction?
There won't be an auction. Don't worry about that. That's just Mr. Billingsley's way of being funny.
Oh. Attention, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure this morning to call to your attention this particularly handsome figure that has been offered for sale to the highest approved bidders. It is a bronze statuary, an imported piece.
I've been looking all over. Have you seen her?
She's upstairs having one of her spells.
How's Miss Palmer?
I'm going out for some smelling salts.
One side, please. Come on, boys. We get right on through.
Very
What you want.
very humiliating. This is my chance. Say, no, you're not going to take it. Come here, stop. Want the old thing as much as that? Take it. Get out. You too. Well, Mr. Billingsley, I hope you're enjoying my humiliation.
Well, this is no fun for me.
You're going to be punished in due time. Emily, can't you do something about all
Yeah.
this?
Capricorns don't
Well, at
work.
least you're loyal, and there's nothing I...
With Pisces, I find.
The thing you can do about it now. Why don't you...
Because you guys are very, like, strong, like, headed. Like, it's your way or the highway.
There's Martha. You, Martha!
Fair one. Hold in.
Martha, how nice of you to come.
Auctions bring out the vulture in me.
Hello, Mrs. Howard.
Hello, dear.
Well, if I'd known all my friends were coming, I could have had the auction and the kitty party at the same time.
They don't seem very worried.
Why should I worry with so much excitement?
Do you realize you're being sold out of house and home?
That's part of the fun. Mr. Billingsley's going to be furious when I make him go and buy all these things back again. I can't tell you about it now because he's standing right behind you. But, my dear, he's an abs... Know what I mean? Oh, there's Mabel French. I haven't seen her in a long time.
I had my eye on her.
There you are. No one told me you were here.
I'm just making my getaway with some of the loose.
Now, don't go. The party's just starting.
Pardon me, miss.
Oh, I see.
But there's rather an odd-looking
okay.
couple at the front door.
I was eating avocado and fucking
Oh, thanks.
banana.
Charlotte. You look so funny, I didn't know who you were. Feel free.
Are we the only ones in costume?
Well, don't bother about that. A party's a party. Come on down. Oh, maybe you remember the Colemans, don't you? Which branch of the family are you? I was going to have a kiddie party, but we decided to have an auction instead. But it's all the same thing. Now, just make yourselves comfortable. I'll be right back.
Don't stand still. You might be auctioned off.
Stevens, have cook fix up oodles of caviar and some sandwiches and lots of drinks and things, you know.
And there's hardly anything in the icebox, miss.
Don't be ridiculous. Send cook in here.
Who are those two freaks?
I'm not speaking to you, Mr. Billingsley. Oh, Martha, have you seen the Colemans? They're too funny for words.
What are you going to say to the cook?
That's my business.
You can't blame her for anything. You haven't any credit for the grocers.
So you've corrupted the grocer. All right, Mr. Billingsley, you have your innings now. Mine will come later. I know how to deal with an addict. And you can't really do anything legally because I haven't actually said it.
Yes,
Did you
miss.
Oh, never mind, Betty. You'll wet the kitchen.
May I speak to you privately, miss?
Is it an emergency?
Kind of.
All right, Betty, over here. Yes, what is it, Betty?
It's about last month's check, miss. The bank sent it back.
Well, don't worry about it, Betty. When this is over, I'll pay your bonus.
There's one thing you might as well get straight. There's not going to be anything left over.
Oh, well, I'm a very poor woman, and I have a family.
Don't cry, Betty. I'll sell something and pay you.
You can't sell anything.
There must be something in this house I can sell.
Only your personal belongings.
All right, I'll sell one of my mink coats. How's that?
Here are the smelling salts.
No, I feel all right now,
Don't
don't
throw them away. I may need them.
you? Buy your own smelling salts.
Oh, Miss Palmer, if it's just the same to you, I'll take a mink coat.
All right, Betty, which one do you want?
The dark one. After all, you know I've been pretty loyal.
What about me? I've been loyal, too.
Oh, I suppose you think I wouldn't look good in a mink coat.
Bickering, please. You can have the silver fox, Josephine.
After all, I've been here longer than she has.
Oh, I suppose you think you look better in a mink coat than I do. Oh, no, you don't. Just a minute. You're not going to push me.
We'll see about that.
I don't care what you do. Now I'm going to have that coat.
You see, I'm right what I mean by loyalty.
Gently.
By the way, where's your uniform?
I didn't think I needed today. You see, they auctioned off the cards.
Have they gone too? Well, naturally, you wouldn't need a uniform if you haven't got a car to drive. Here today and gone tomorrow. Excuse me a minute, I've got to whoop things up.
Anytime you think you can get the best of me. Not while I got my strength. I can handle a whole flock like you and a couple of extras thrown in for good measure.
I'm telling the truth.
C'est magnifique, hein. J'avoue que c'est la première fois que je vois ce spectacle, mais je le trouve extraordinaire. Je suis très émue, je suis très très émue. Depuis le début, je suis très émue.
Hey. Sorry to disturb you, buddy. Hey, buddy.
Huh? What is it?
Sorry to wake you up, but we gotta load this thing.
Oh, that's all right. Glad you did. I was having a horrible dream.
You from the sheriff's?
No, I'm just custodian to a nitwit.
Well, anyway, I'm sorry we had to disturb you.
It couldn't be any more disturbed than I have been.
Well, so long. So long.
Did you sleep well, Enright?
I'll tell you better when I get this crick out of my neck.
I had to sleep on the floor with nothing but an ermine wrap over me.
How do you like roughing it?
I enjoyed it. My, doesn't the place look empty and funny?
It's empty, all right, but I don't see anything funny about
Oh,
it.
you should get fun out of everything.
Why don't you come to your senses?
Please remember, you're a chauffeur.
I'm not a chauffeur.
Your attitude seems to have changed since I lost all my furniture.
I'm not here because I want to be.
I expect disloyalty from my friends, but not from my chauffeur.
Stop calling me that.
Well, if you're not a chauffeur, what are you?
I'm a psychoanalyst. Or that is, I thought I was.
Oh, yes, and you were detoured by that other woman.
Yes, and just as soon as I can get rid of that woman, I'm going to be an analyst again.
I think maybe I could help you in this emergency.
I'm here to help you.
Yes, I think maybe I could help you get that other woman out of your mind. Because being a woman myself, naturally, I'd know more about those things than you would.
See if we can find a couple of eggs. I hate talking about women on an empty stomach.
Well, I'd like to hear a little more about it. Was there another name?
No?
Did she drink?
No, but she's driving me to it.
It wasn't bridge or gin rummy.
No, she was just a nitwit.
Oh, well, those women can be very dangerous.
You're telling me.
I'm sure we could do something about it, though.
Well, let's get at the eggs first. After all, your problem's greater than mine.
Oh, I haven't any problem.
Well, where are you going to live? What are you going to live on? What are you going to eat? Where are you going to sleep? Ever done any work in your life before?
After all, I'm the granddaughter of Stephen J. Palmer. You've heard of the Palmer Foundation?
Vaguely. Have you any relatives?
No.
What about Cactus Kate Palmer out in Arizona? She's your grandmother, isn't she?
How do you know about her?
She's the one who's supposed to have gold buried somewhere in the hills, isn't she?
Do you realize if people knew she was my grandmother, it would ruin me socially?
You've got a pretty good start now, haven't you?
Aren't you having any eggs?
Yes, these are mine.
That's my icebox.
It was your icebox.
Those are my eggs.
You owe me a week's salary, and these eggs are pretty expensive.
I didn't think you were mercenary.
If you want eggs, you cook them.
Of course I can starve.
You've got to start learning to do things for yourself.
I thought you were going to help me out in this emergency, and you're just being me like everybody else.
I thought you were helping me.
I'm the one who has the problem.
Do you know anything about psychoanalysis?
Like numerology?
It was originally called the talking cure. People talked, and the doctor could find out what they were afraid of and then help them.
Sounds silly.
Just what is it in Arizona that you're afraid of?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Tell me about it. Talk it out.
Well, I don't remember much about it. I remember Stanley, the way he used to pull my pigtails, and then I'd cry and throw rocks at him.
Who's Stanley?
Don't you remember when I was 8 and he was 10?
Oh, yes, the big romance. Tell me about it.
I remember one time I hit him on the head with a big rock, kicked him in the shins, knocked him down, took a bite out of his forehead. Oh, that was fun. Then my grandma spanked me. That was very humiliating. You know, I don't think my grandma ever liked me. If there's anything in the world I hate, it's being spanked.
Keep talking.
It's one of the reasons I could never go back to that horrible place. Of course, Stanley was all right. He was very forgiving. After all, what are a few bumps on your head when you're 10 years old? Besides, she lives in an old shack all by herself. She never has any parties or anything. See, this talking business is wonderful. I feel better already. Where do you learn about these things? It's like a game. You know, speaking of parties, I never had a party in my life until I got all this money from my grandfather.
What money?
The money, Mr. Billingsley, you know what I mean.
I have the solution to your problem.
You have.
You're going back to Arizona where you belong and face this thing you fear.
I thought you were going to help me.
I am helping you.
Mr. Billingsley was helping me, too, and look.
I'm not Mr. Billings.
And I'm not going to Arizona.
All right, then I'm leaving.
All right, you can leave me here all alone. I know what to do.
Oh, that's better. That's what I wanted.
What?
I want you to do something for yourself.
I don't think you'll like what I'm going to do.
What are you going to do?
Oh, never mind.
You're talking like a child.
You're a doctor. You should know. Is drowning easier than gas?
You're a spoiled brat. You've had your way for so long, you never think of other people.
Just what Milton said.
Who's Milton?
My other chauffeur.
I don't care what Milton said. I'm going to help you get your feet on the ground and like it. You're going back to Arizona. You never should have left there in the first place. And if you want any further help from me, you've got to take orders. Do you understand?
Yes, all right.
Well, go and get packed.
All right, I'll go out to that horrible place and get bitten by something and die. I'm not afraid. I'll show you I'm not
Go and
afraid.
get packed.
I'm not afraid of anything on four legs or two.
Go and get packed.
Yes, I will.
A little domestic trouble? A little. Don't take them serious. All women is a little touched.
David, we like accommodations for the night.
Oh, right down here.
Love of mine, quit thinking of.
What do you think you are bringing me to a dump like this?
You was living in a worse dump than this one, aren't you?
Yeah, when I married you, you were living on four legs.
Go on, slam the door. That's the way you always have an argument.
How's this strike you?
We want 2 cottages.
Expecting another party?
So,
Well, there's 2 beds in every cottage.
We still want 2 cottages.
Oh, well, we don't often get a request like that.
Don't talk so much.
Everybody seems to be quarreling these days. Must be in the air. Now, this one's nice and quiet. Guess you could use a good night's sleep.
This is the quiet one. Where's the tub?
What tub?
The bathtub.
Oh, well, we only got showers here, but they ain't working.
What have you gotten me into? There isn't even a place here to bathe.
What's the matter with the shower?
It isn't working.
Well, we've got emergency buckets in every cottage.
What do I do with this?
We'll take it right out of here and fill her up at this here faucet. Over there. The new reservoir ought to be in the next spring.
I'm afraid I won't be back to enjoy it.
Mrs. ain't in very good humor.
She's learning.
Listen, Slow Wit, how long does it take you to get a pail of water?
I can't make it burn any faster than it's running.
You'll never get me in a dump like this again.
All right, but quit picking them. Wait a minute. What's the idea? Give me that book.
Can't you act like a gentleman?
I know my rights.
Don't talk to me about rights.
What's the trouble?
Could you please knock him down?
Women who will.
She's definitely in the right.
If you were a man, you'd lose your temper.
If you weren't a spoiled brat, you'd hold yours.
Well, of all.
So I ain't a gentleman.
I didn't say you weren't.
Well, she did.
I didn't.
She ain't gonna get away with it.
Well, tell her that.
I'm in a mood to fight.
Well, don't fight me.
Well, you're a husband, ain't you?
No, thank heavens.
Oh, a cad, huh?
Don't do that.
Put up your dukes.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I just lost my temper.
Listen, raghead, are you going to bring me that water?
Yes, dear. If there wasn't a woman in the world, there wouldn't be no trouble.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
Stanley!
Yes, ma'am?
What you doing?
Practicing my roping.
Well, quick, come on.
What's the
Don't
matter?
let him be a roper. Just listen to this telegram from Jane. Dear Grandma, sound the cymbals, beat the drums, roll out the red plush and polish the pewter. Headed your way on the horns of the dilemma. What's the dilemma? Search me.
Well, ain't no blame of bull.
Where's she coming from? New York. A long ride and a pair of horns.
Little old Janie. She was quite a character.
Little old Jamie I. She's a grown woman.
Gosh, that's right. Ain't seen her in 15 years. Bet she's pretty, too.
Yeah, takes that from my side of the family.
Stanley's girl is coming to town. Stanley's girl.
Ah, Strawberry, quit your carrying on.
You quit, Stanley. You're as pleased as a sheep-killing dog.
Wonder she'll remember me.
Why not? You remember her, don't you?
Oh, I still got the bump where she hit me on the head at the 2x4.
That's love. You should have seen me and old Muttonhead. Who was he? The biggest lush in Arizona.
That reminds me, I gotta be getting over to my place and get dressed.
What's your hurry?
Well, Jane will be arriving any minute, and I figure I'm doing a little courting. Know she'll be expecting to see a man's man. I don't want to disappoint her. Bye, ma'am. Bye, Strawberry.
Bye, Stanley. Mighty pleased with himself, ain't he?
Yeah.
and ready to break right out in the heat rash.
Miss Kate,
Yeah.
is she really coming to see him?
Hard to tell, Strawberry. All the Palmers are just a little bit crazy.
Well, here we are. This is 10 miles off the main road, but I don't see any signs of life.
It looks like Grandma's house over there. Seems to have shrunk.
There's somebody now.
It's Grandma! Grandma, hello! Hello! Grandma seems to have shrunk too. Surely we had a time finding this place.
What are you doing here?
You wouldn't pay me a visit, so I had to come out here to see you.
It took you long enough to make up your mind. Oh, I don't like that soft stuff. Who's the big galoot?
That's Enride.
What's he want here?
He's helping me with the problem.
What kind of a problem have you got?
I'll tell you all about it later. Bring the things right on in, Enride.
Put the bags in there. If you come here after money, you ain't going to get it.
Who said I came after money?
When a Palmer drops in from nowhere, you can bet your life they want something.
I don't want anything. But everybody knows you've got gold buried around here somewhere. The newspapers have been full of it.
Well, if you want any, you'll have to get it on the newspaper.
Let's not
Here
talk
with the
about
hat,
it.
like it's like
This is a charming place. Is that a portrait of your husband?
Yeah, that's old Muttonhead.
interesting hat.
Why was he known by such a horrible name?
People knew what they were talking about in them days.
He made a great contribution to medical science. He must have been a man of high purpose.
He got cured of corns once, so they talked him into putting up a monument. You can talk the Palmers into anything.
Don't pay too much attention to Grandma. She doesn't even half she's
I can see her bark is worse than her bite.
Don't be too sure. He ain't your husband, is he?
Heavens, no. He doesn't like women. At least not at the moment.
What about that problem business?
Well, you remember Mr. Billingsley?
What about him?
He's turned out to be an absconder.
A what?
He absconded with all the money Grandpa left me.
I don't suppose you helped him none, did you?
So I was thinking, if you could lend me a little gold, I could hire some lawyers and have Mr. Billingsley put in jail where he belongs. We'll talk about it later. Where are you going to put Enride?
I ain't gonna put him anyplace. He's gonna hang around here and take one of them shacks down there. He ain't gonna help you with no problems in this house.
Aren't any of those shacks occupied?
Oh, you may find a few scorpions floating about. Maybe you can help them with their problems.
Enright won't mind that. He just loves Arizona.
Ever since I was a kid, I've been legit. I go back what they say on time.
I want to tell you something else. I can shoot a rattlesnake in the eye at 50 paces.
Why should you want to do that?
I could if I have to.
I'm sure of it. Can I have one of those shacks over there?
Not so fast. I want to know something about you.
Well, I know I can confide in you. I have your granddaughter under observation.
Are you a detective?
No, I'm a doctor.
What's the matter with her?
Well, it's here.
Oh, you scared me to death. I thought it was something serious.
Don't lose your temper, Enright.
What's she talking about?
I very seldom know.
Let me give you a bit of advice, young man. There ain't no cure for what she's got.
I don't think it's as bad as that.
Well, I lived with my grandfather for 40 years, and look at me.
Don't see anything wrong with you.
Oh, there's lots of things that don't show. I'm only trying to tell you that you'll end up dappier than she is.
Well, I'll take a chance.
Remember, I warned you.
Thanks. Why do they call that the Lost Hope Saloon?
Oh, that's another monument to old Muttonhead. You see, he gave up hope of finding gold in these parts, and then bang, he hit the mother lode.
Did he build the saloon?
Yes, he was one of its best customers, and he carried many a load after that, but it wasn't a mother lode.
I see. Well, is it all right if I move in there?
Help yourself, I ain't stopping you.
Thanks.
How do you like him?
I ain't made up my mind.
That's his trouble. He's not in harmony with his vibrations.
What are you talking about?
He's lost faith in women, and I feel it my duty to restore it.
Did you scare it out of them?
That was another woman.
Why didn't you let her do her own restoring?
Because you must do things for others. That's why you do something for me if you weren't stingy.
If you'd been more stingy, you wouldn't be in trouble now.
Is this where you hide it?
Hide what?
All right, don't tell me. It'd be like looking for Easter eggs.
What are you talking about?
Your gold.
I ain't got no gold, but if I did have, I wouldn't hide it down there.
Well, that's a wonderful hiding place.
That's where it was hiding when your grandfather found it.
Well, if there was gold down there then, there must be gold down there now.
Well, if you can find any, it's all yours.
Okay.
Hello, Groundhog.
That's hilarious.
A granddaughter wants some gold. Show her to find it.
There ain't enough gold in this part of the country to fill a hound's tooth.
So why are you looking for it?
We old desert rats just digged and hope.
Oh, hope. That's the trouble. You have to have faith, too. If your vibrations are right, you don't need hope. Well, excuse me, I'm going to take a bath.
She's more like
She's
Muttonhead
right, though.
than Muttonhead himself.
So I think
If she had a walrus mustache and a hangover, I think I was seeing things.
I get you, sister. I get you. I'm kidding.
Good morning.
Well, you're up, right, Nellie?
Brought you some ham and eggs.
Thanks a lot.
Cooked to myself.
That'll make it taste all the better.
I'll be back.
They fell apart a little, but they're still eggs.
Let's talk behind an egg that counts.
If I'm going to learn to do things for others, I thought I might as well start right in.
Don't forget, when you're doing things for others, you're really doing a great deal for yourself.
That's a little confusing
It'll
sometimes.
be less and less confusing as time goes on. You'll get your feet on the ground and you'll be calm.
I don't want to be too calm.
Just calm enough.
I like people to show some fire.
Yes, but on the useful side of life.
You mean doing things for others and yourself?
That's it.
Well, I've got to get down that mine and start digging.
That's the spirit.
I hope Mr. Billingsley's ears are burning and some of my false friends, too.
Good luck. I hope you find oodles of gold.
I won't need more than a few buckets full. I'm all ready to start now if you'll just explain everything to me.
Don't amount to much. Just lower a bucket on this hand winch, get down there and dig, and haul your ore to the stamp and pan it.
Sounds simple enough. What are those holes going that way?
Oh, they're cross cuts to feed the stoop.
What's the stove?
That's where Muttonhead hit the bonanza.
Oh. It's quite a ways down there.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll go down and have a look around.
Wait a minute. You gotta have a pick.
Thanks.
Want me to go along?
No, I've got to learn to do things for myself.
Well, you won't find nothing. But if you like to dig in the mud, go ahead. It's in the blood.
Thank heavens I'm only a palmer by marriage.
She's got spunk.
That big galoot must have hypnotized her. That's the first time she ever did a bit of work in her life.
Look out for that second ladder. Them rounds are slippery.
I'm being careful.
Did you hurt yourself?
No, but I'm mud from head to foot.
Are you all right?
Guess so, if you want to call it that.
Take it easy. Take it easy. Here, give me your hand. Yeah, let me help you.
Thanks.
You certainly gave yourself a wallowing around,
Oh,
didn't you?
I never knew gold mining was such a messy business.
Hey, no big teeth. Well, let's haul her up and see what we got.
If I haven't got a bucket full of gold, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Well, that's part of the excitement. Wondering what you got. Like fishing.
I'm wondering whether Mr. Billingsley's worth all this.
Who's he?
A very unpleasant man.
Well, it takes all kinds of people to make a world. There we are. Now, you hold this, and I'll get around here and dump this all into the boat.
Okay?
All it over.
This is pretty hilarious.
Don't seem so
I'm listening
complicated.
to it.
Wouldn't be any fun if it wasn't complicated.
Very fun.
Too bad gold doesn't grow near the surface like cabbage.
It did be as cheap as cabbage.
I don't mind hard work as long as I get results.
Don't expect to get results too quick.
I believe in numerology. 5's the number I vibrate to.
Don't get you.
Don't you see this is the 5th day of the month?
Excellent.
Oh, I see what you mean.
What do we do now?
Well, we'll run some quartz through this hand stamp.
Oh my God.
Then you crush the ore.
Let me do it.
Well,
Come on.
What do you think you're doing?
Stomping gold.
You look as if you've been diving for it.
I fell in the stoop.
so,
I mean stope. What do we do next?
well, we take this glass, pull it around like that, and if there's any gold in it, it goes to the bottom.
I don't see any of it.
You didn't see.
How discouraging.
Wait till you get my age before you talk about being discouraged.
When she was a baby, she fell on her head. But I didn't think she hit that hard. woman's life. Don't pay no attention to her. She's just amusing herself. It's cheaper than putting her in an institution.
Hello. Hello. Are you the girl that's supposed to be loco? Loco? Sometimes people who are supposed to be loco aren't as loco as people who are supposed to be all right. But you've been digging that old worn-out mind. Well, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do because people want you to do them. I know it. I'm always doing that. What's your name? Strawberry. You live around here?
That's a nice name.
I live over again the hills with my Uncle Fletcher. Like Arizona? You gotta like a place if you ain't got no other place to like. Think I'll ever learn to like it? You like things you learn to like. What about scorpions and snakes and things like that?
Yeah,
Uncle Fletcher said scorpions don't mind living with people as long as people behave themselves.
Sounds nice at first.
Cœur oui.
Cœur oui.
Cœur oui.
Cœur oui, ça a transformé en
And you
pratique.
listen to it and she
C'est le
sounds
seul
like
script
a
que j'ai
horse.
utilisé.
What's your
Se
name?
concentre sur les
Strawberry?
besoins particuliers du Québec. Et en plus, c'est fait par des professionnels de la santé d'ici.
No, I don't suppose it makes much difference where you are, as long
I
as
wonder if
there's
they were
somebody
trying
to
to
do
say
something
something.
for. I wouldn't know about that. But you got a boyfriend? Aunt didn't go wrong. Why? Oh, they can't ride or shoot or do nothing. When I was your age, I used to have a boyfriend. Not for me. I'd rather shoot sidewinders. Sidewinders?
Couldn't help but over here.
I beg your pardon.
Run along, little girl. Here's 5 cents.
What kind of cows do you ride, herd on?
Run along, run along.
They must be awfully sweet and pretty. You don't have to go. I'll come around again when you ain't bogged down with old fancy pants.
That's what we call a desert mouse. She ain't big enough to be a rat.
I think she's sweet.
I know a girl her age once who was a lot sweeter.
I hope you're not trying to
They
be
keep
familiar.
saying like weird
You
shit.
don't
Like that.
remember me?
That's what I mean. Like
You're not.
I'm Stanley.
Well, my, how you've changed.
I know you anywheres.
That's a long time ago.
You ain't been out of my mind since you was knee-high to a newborn calf.
Well, I'm glad I've been in somebody's mind.
When I heard you come back home, I sat right down and wrote a lament.
A lament.
Would you like to hear it?
Well, I'm not quite sure I know what it is.
I can play it for you better than I can talk it.
You don't mind if I go on with my work, do you?
No, go right along. Don't make no difference. When the moon shines down on my darling Nellie's white hills, you'll hear a coyote wail. Oh,
yeah, skip that.
Them groundhogs nearly ate me out of house and home.
It was a nice party.
What are you doing in that get-up?
Did you see the way Enright looked at me?
I saw how you looked at the steak.
I think he's getting ready to vibrate.
If he'd been around here 40 years ago, I'd have made him vibrate.
When a man's been hurt by a woman, you have to be very careful.
Oh, we weren't so careful about them back in the 90s.
Times have changed.
The men knew how to love in them days.
Is this Thursday?
Why?
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 5th day, don't you see? 5. And there's a moon.
You know, I'm getting a little scared being in the same house with you. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling, Clementine.
Yo, she's crazy, bro. Holy shit. She's like, actually, she's not crazy. She's like, let me grab my gun just in case. I'm joking. I like that.
I hope I didn't disturb you.
It's all right. I was just prying into the private lives of the Micro family.
I'm sorry I interrupted.
It's all right. Where'd you get that?
It was just an old rag left over from my other life.
It's very becoming.
Oh, it's nothing. It's just an old rag. It was such a wonderful moon tonight, I just couldn't think of sleeping.
I hadn't noticed.
There's something about a full moon that makes me want to do mad things. Does the moon do funny things to you?
Not that I've noticed.
Wants to sit down? I wonder if there are people up there looking down on
As
it.
far as we know, the moon's uninhabited.
Seems a shame, doesn't it? I never thought very much about those things till I met you.
Thank you.
You've made me see things in a different light.
And you feel that I've helped you?
You're just everything to me.
I didn't mean it that way.
I wish you had.
I meant it in a different way.
Are you still feeling bitter about that other woman?
Which woman?
Well, was there more than one?
Oh, you mean the woman who detoured me from my work?
That one.
No, I don't feel any bitterness towards her.
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm being very unethical.
No, you mustn't be sorry.
What's that noise?
I didn't hear anything. I am frightened.
Sounded like a gunshot.
This girl, man, dog. Oh, it's funny, guys. I like it. I like all the like meanings and shit. Like
I'm not frightened now.
they're very quick with it too.
Sorry for what I did just now.
Didn't you mean it?
No.
What you doing? Making love? No, we're just
That's what I
looking
was
at the
doing.
moon.
I was trying to
Huh?
research the director. Like, who is it? It's fucking good. Really good.
Go away and let you spark. Give me 2 bits.
You don't need to go. If you'll excuse me, I have some things to do.
He's the jerk from Albuquerque. What's the matter? Won't he loosen? No, he won't vibrate. Why don't you make him vibrate? There's another woman in his life. Why don't you beat her up? He carries her around in here. Did he swallow her? No, she's just a memory. You sure got a torch. I'll say. What you kicking about? All life's a torch, ain't it? When your torch burns down, you're icky. You're as good as done. When you're in love, you feel it. And when you ain't, you don't feel nothing. Where did you learn all these things? Uncle Fletcher. He must be very poetic. He's drunk most of the time. Wish I could get him a little drunk. Oh, gosh, here comes old Fancy Pants. I'm heading for the bar. Six, don't leave me alone with him. I couldn't stand it.
Wait for you. Howdy.
Good evening, Ted. Why don't you go someplace where people might be wanting you?
She's quite a character. Little girl should be home in bed.
I ain't got no bed.
Look what I found here. 5 cents.
Put it back for all of me.
Doggone, they ain't 10 cents hiding right underneath there.
Who ate it 15 cents?
Well, look, did you ever see one of those?
What is it?
50 cents.
Hot butcher. I see the candy times away.
We got more characters out here than dogs got fleas.
Climate does funny things to some people.
Sit down. I knew you liked that lamb man I wrote for you, so well, I whipped up another verse.
Yes, I'm just in the mood for a lamb man.
Wasn't quite sad enough.
No, it was a little too gay in the spot.
I fixed that, listen. Now the moon rides high and my time to go has come, and I'm feeling so sick of heart and soul. When they bury me aside of my darling Nellie's grave, that's the time when I will surely reach my goal.
That's very pretty.
I ain't finished yet. Oh, my darling Nellie's grave on the prairie. Like to see our women folk crying in this part of the country. He's answering to me, man to man. Listen, mister, whoever you are, I guess you don't know much about Arizona.
I'm learning fast.
Out here, we don't allow no highfalutin with our women folk.
What have I done now?
You've insulted the woman with whom I am enamored.
Did she say that?
Leave her out of this. This is man to man. You and I are going to do a little shooting. I don't fancy plugging on an armed man.
You'd be doing me a big favor.
This is the way we do things in this part of the country.
What is that, a 45?
I guess so. Why?
I haven't handled one of these in a long time. Mind if I take a couple of practice
Not
shots?
me.
No, I'll pick out something over here.
Are you leading
No,
me
he's
on,
good.
stranger?
Are you shot?
Oh, I'm all right.
Oh.
Women ain't got no stomach for gunplay.
I guess not. Well,
Gregory
she's all yours.
LaCava. That's the
Better take
director.
out the
Written
check.
by
She's quite a character.
Eugene
No hard feelings.
Thackeray.
I'm sorry I lost my temper.
That's okay.
More things ought to be settled by arbitration. Good night, stranger. Good night.
Interesting.
Oh, my darling Clementine, I have lost you forever. want you working the mine.
So what's the use?
You're after gold, ain't you?
What good will that do me? I was only working the mine to please him. Seems like the more you do for people, the less they appreciate it.
You ain't going to get up that easy, I hope.
The director is Gregory Lacava, Italian descent, best known for his film of 1930s, including My Man Godfrey and Stage Door, which earned him nominations for Academy Award for Best Director. Academy. That's funny. With the writer, though, that's really what I want to know. It says Eugene Thraki, but like his tag isn't clickable. Only Francis M. Cockrell, Otho Lovering. Really, real? Seriously. Let's see what these people are. American filmmaker. Otho Lovering. That's an interesting name. The combination together was very funny to say, though. Eugene Thackeray is not on Wikipedia. Why? I don't know. Yeah, he is. He's an American author. He is a professor of media studies at the New School in New York City. Oh, he's from New York. His writing is associated with the philosophy ... speculative realism. While speculative realism says has gained significant popularity. That's it. ... Like, where do I? Oh, okay. Oh, he has books. Shit, I want to read those books. Eugene Thacker. Okay. Shit.
What are you going to do with a man you
Her
can't even
outfits are really
arouse? Guess I'll just settle down here with you and he can go ahead.
Just a minute. Maybe you ain't feeding them the right bait.
I thought of every feminine trick I know.
There may be a couple you ain't thought of.
Wish I knew what they were.
Did you ever stop to think he might be after your money?
He knows I haven't any money.
Or maybe he thinks I got some.
He's not interested in money.
If you happen to find some gold in that mine, you might get a surprise. Why do you suppose they named that mine the Lost Hope?
I don't know, just a name, I guess.
Remember old Muttonhead was just about ready to give up?
Oh, that couldn't happen twice.
By the way, did you look into this crosscut that runs over towards the saloon?
No, what?
Why didn't you go down and give it one more look around?
You're acting awfully funny.
Just a hunch.
Okay, I'll go down and have a look around. It's just a waste of time.
If that ain't gold quartz, I can't smell it. Oh, but
Granddaughter, you're sure to chip off the old block.
She's a chip off this block.
She's sure full of persistence.
I'm afraid she's about 50 years too late.
You old coots would get a great jolt if she happened to hit that lost vein.
That lost vein was up here, in Muttonhead's imagination.
I wouldn't be too sure.
Yeah, I joined the party.
Bad batch of bananas,
Have a cup of coffee.
No, thanks.
You ain't giving up, are you?
There's no gold in that mine, and you know it.
You look what I told you to?
Yes, I don't think much of your hunches.
It's like death by 1,000 cuts.
How are you not tired of spending your hard-earned money on a million different productivity apps?
Honestly, it's crazy, and our team's productivity never improves.
Well, here's how you can save and
You probably wouldn't know gold if you saw it.
think she's showing good sense. Because when Muttonhead hit the bonanza, it was right, like this, and the drift was over to the left.
It was not. Just ran the other way.
Don't tell me I helped Muttonhead work it.
You're getting so old, your memory's peeping out.
I ain't so old I can't take care of myself.
I never saw the day that I couldn't handle two like you.
Yeah?
Quit getting excited or you'll both fall down in a fit.
Plenty of life in me.
Yes, there's plenty in me, too.
I wasn't a champion fox fighter for nothing.
Sit down and cool off.
You never saw a day that I couldn't handle a rod like you.
Hey, where'd you get this?
Just what?
It's that in spoon. I ain't never seen none. Let me look at that pan. Something cheaper, she's hit it.
Why'd you get the...
Out of the mine, why?
Why? You've hit a bonanza.
I believed in you, girl. I knew you was gonna get it.
Can't believe it. Is that really gold? Well, that's what you've been looking for, ain't it?
How did you know it was down there?
Maybe you ain't the only one that vibrates.
It's like a miracle.
Why don't you show it to your boyfriend?
It's
Maybe it'll
definitely
start
fake.
him
They're
vibrating.
probably fucking with her, but what they're saying is interesting. Like, this is some shit like your English teacher would make you watch in school to find like the meaning and shit.
Look, Ezra. Gold. It's been here all the time.
What a coincidence.
Where are you going?
You're all straightened out now. There's nothing to hold me here.
You're not going to leave me in this horrible place.
But I thought you liked Arizona.
I only said that to please you. You don't care what happens to me.
Of course I care.
You hate me.
I do not hate you.
I only came out here in the first place to try and find some gold and help you get on your feet.
You're being unfair.
You lured me out here, now you're deserting me.
Has that gold gone to your head? Last night you were perfectly normal.
I am not normal. I have spells and dreams all the time, but I never tell you anything about them.
What kind of spells?
Oh, never mind. I hope you'll be very happy.
What kind of spells?
It's nothing much. It's just a funny little click I get back here once in a while.
Are you telling the truth?
Last night I dreamed about Mr. Billingsley. I dreamed he was in prison hanging by a long rope. A lot of little pink men were jumping and dancing and singing. We'll hang John Billingsley to the sour apple tree. We'll hang John Billingsley to the sour apple tree. We'll hang John Billingsley to the sour apple tree. We'll hang J.B. to the tree. We'll hang John Billingsley to the sour apple tree. We'll hang J.B. to the tree. We'll hang John Billingsley to the sour apple tree. We'll hang John Billingsley to the sour apple tree.
He's like, this family's mad.
Well, it looks like she had paid her.
That's what it looks like.
She ain't a bad-looking girl when she's got nice clothes on.
Go on.
She ought to get about $500,000 out of that mine, I'd say.
Someone ought to get 1 to 10 years out of that mine, I'd say.
What do you mean?
When that ore goes to government assay and they find out that mine's been salted, someone's in for a heap of trouble.
What do you know about salt mines?
Not as much as you do.
Are you implying?
Yes.
There's a cemetery back up in them hills, and it's just full of people that couldn't mind their own business.
I had her almost straightened out, almost normal. Now look what you've done. She's right back where she started.
Can I help it if she hit the pay dirt?
I'll stay on. I'll see this thing through, but I don't want any more interference. You understand?
Are you threatening me?
Yes.
You've been telling her to come to her senses. Why don't you come to yours? You don't want her, and you don't
That
want
we
gold.
could agree on.
What do you want?
Just watch your step.
Not yet.
Thanks for the lift. I'll buy a cone off you sometime.
Okay.
How do you feel about your good fortune?
Thank you.
Well, it's very exciting.
Can I have your
What are you going to do with all your money? What are you going to do with all your money?
I'm going to punish Mr. Billingsley.
Are you Mr. Billingsley?
Billingsley.
I have one more, please. Are you going to settle down and get married?
Well, I'm so mad at a certain party at the moment I'm liable to do anything.
How do you want the gay 90s?
You've started something. How are you going to finish it?
Lots of fun while it lasts.
What about those poor fellas digging for gold that isn't there?
They've been dead for 50 years. They ought to be glad it brought them back to life.
What about your conscience.
Look, why don't you loosen up and have some fun?
I'm not here to have fun.
I suppose my plan, Doctor, ain't good enough for
That
you.
has nothing to do with it.
Are you going to spend the rest of your life peeking through that telescope? Why don't you raise your head and look around? Maybe there's other things in life besides bugs.
Stimulez votre croissance et vos revenus avec Google Ads. Touchez les clients à haut potentiel sur tout le réseau.
Well, I'll be sassing and blowed if it ain't old Bill. Where in the name of time did you drop from?
How long has this been going on?
My granddaughter hit pay dirt, and this is what happened.
Well, something ought to be done about these kindly people.
Like what?
We might open up the old joint again and teach them the rudiments of Pharaoh. It seems a shame to waste such a lovely group of unsheared lamb.
Hey, this is quite a lot of fun, ain't it?
I put a nice picture of this picture, you mind?
Oh, no, not at all. This is a very good picture. But I tried to autograph with a pic, you know.
Look who's here.
How nice. How nice of you to come. Just make yourselves at home, won't you?
Wow, she really brought everyone.
Yes, how true, how true.
Oh, funny.
Isn't it exciting and thrilling?
It'll be more exciting later on.
Why, it couldn't be more exciting. It's just like a kiddie party, only the costumes are different. Do you think I was served coffee and sandwiches?
Aren't you talking like a child again?
Enright, you must do things for others. After all, look what you've done for Stanley and me.
Just what did I do for Stanley?
Well, if you hadn't brought me out to Arizona, I might never have seen Stanley again. Isn't that so, Stanley?
What?
I was just telling Enright how grateful we are.
I'll be the first to put out my hand.
Oh, I'm so glad you're going to be friends.
For me, a man's a man.
I'm so happy. I feel like going on a spree. Stanley, go and buy me an ice cream cone.
Ain't she a character?
Yes, she sure is.
Would you like to have one, Enright?
No.
Treats on me, they're only 5 cents.
Well, just skip mine.
Well, some people can take it or leave it alone.
He's so manly, isn't he?
Do you think so?
And human and kind. Very poetic. We want you to be sure to come to the wedding.
When did you decide on a wedding?
But I haven't talked it over with Stanley yet. It's a kind of a surprise.
Congratulations.
Where are you going?
I give up.
Yeah, he's like,
It's what you wanted, isn't it?
I don't know what I wanted.
I'm only doing it to make you happy.
Stop talking nonsense.
This is the kind of a life I wanted. Of course, it'll be different living with cows and pigs and Stanley. You must come out and see our place.
I don't want to see it.
Maybe you don't approve of Stanley.
For the love of Mike, stop talking about Stanley. I'm sick and tired of hearing his name. Stanley, Stanley, Stanley. You're driving me nuts.
happening?
Aren't they sweet? They make wonderful pets, so understanding. Not more understanding than most humans, they say.
Yeah, they're good beef cattle, too.
Stanley, you have to think of everything in terms of food.
Well, everybody that eats a piece of beefsteak is a party to the killing of a cow. Boy, there's nothing better than a nice, thick cut of beefsteak with plenty of mashed
Face,
potatoes.
man. You ever seen? She's so silly.
Enright has a delicate constitution.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say, I never did figure out just where you fit into this.
And I don't get it.
There's nothing personal between you two.
Heavens, no.
I'm just sort of a guardian.
Oh, that's a big relief to me.
It'll be a big relief to Enright when I'm happily married.
There's an old saying in Arizona, take a man like you find him.
That sounds reasonable.
Especially if he's a man of spirit.
Naturally. What are those men doing?
They're roping and branding.
It takes a lot of skill.
Oh, there's nothing to it if you know how.
That's what Stanley's going to teach me. Would you like him to give you a demonstration?
If he doesn't mind.
Well, I ain't exactly dressed for it.
Maybe you don't think Stanley can rope a cow.
I didn't say that.
I've been so busy composing laments, I'm afraid I'm a little bit rusty.
I'd like Enright to see a man's man in action.
Well, anything to please a lady. Hey, Buck! Let me borrow your horse. Want to do a little calf roping. Yeah. Well, here he is. I'd much rather put it off to some other time.
I wouldn't think of it. This will be a great treat for Enright. He spent most of his life with bugs and microbes and things like that.
Well, here goes.
You think you ought to do that?
Stanley can do anything.
Get free!
Good grief.
Oh, don't get excited. Sammy always does everything a different way.
Are you hurt, Bob? No, but I'm powerful humiliated.
That's funny.
Give me that rope, I'll get the dag-nabbed quitter.
I didn't know carp roping was so complicated.
You're just being sarcastic.
Next time I have veal chops, I'll be more appreciative.
Look,
Here, carefully,
What are they
carefully,
chasing?
carefully, nice, carefully.
Come here, you!
oh my god. That's terrible.
Let's hear about our wedding
This
plans.
is much more interesting.
We're going to reenact the two-gun Dawson, Pharaoh Nell romance. Would you like to hear about it?
What?
Our wedding.
Overgrown bullfrog. Follows my
Like, he's running
Yeah, used to sing from the Lost Hope Saloon. But she wouldn't have anything at all to do with two-gun Dawson.
Wait for me!
So one night he drove into the saloon on horseback and shot up the place.
Study music production online with Berklee's renowned faculty. Since 2002, Berklee Online has delivered the acclaimed curriculum.
Attention, folks! For your amusement and edification, there will be reenacted here tonight that famous two-gun Dawson Pharaoh Nell elopement. It will come as a surprise, and in the meantime, we'd like to cooperate with the bar. And if there's anybody here who would like to learn the intricacies of Pharaoh, I will be very happy to oblige right over here.
Ain't you staying for the wedding?
No, I'm not.
Can't you take it?
If anyone asks about me, just say you haven't seen me.
No. Sam,
Here's $1.
is that a real dog?
Yeah.
Just a minute, Longlegs. You ain't making no getaway.
I don't understand.
Are you going to marry that big girl?
I can't stop it.
Just turn around and get going. Unless you want a load of buckshot in you.
What do you want me to do?
You're going up to that shack and you're going to tell her to stop that wedding. She's up there crying her eyes out.
There's nothing I can do about it.
Oh, there's plenty you can do about it. You just get going.
If you'll only be reasonable, I'll try and explain the whole situation to you.
Maybe you don't think this gun's loaded.
Are you sure you're not loaded?
Pardon me, I hope I'm not intruding.
What do you want?
I'm looking for the owner of the Lost Hope Mine.
Who are you?
I represent the United States government. What's wrong with her?
Certainly glad you came along. Maybe I can help you. Is it about the gold?
Oh, the government's got all the gold it needs buried down in Kentucky.
Well, what's it about?
Well, as near as we can tell, there are millions in quicksilver around this country somewhere, and the government's interested. Is there anything wrong with that?
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
Did you say millions?
That's what it looks like.
That's all I want to hear.
Seems like, I'm out of here.
What's the matter with everybody? Have they gone nuts?
They're all broken inside. I couldn't find out nothing.
What do you want to know?
Is there a woman around here by the name of Palmer, or is she a spook?
What's the what? I tell you.
Are you nuts, too?
No,
Oh, look, lady, I'm getting desperate. Is there a woman around here by the name of Palmer?
My name's Palmer.
Don't move.
Are you trying to be familiar?
Do you own the Lost Hope Mine?
Have an interest in it? Why?
I'm trying to give away $1 million and nobody will take it.
We'll have to talk about that another time.
We'll talk about it right now.
If you want to give some money away, just give it to my grandmother. She loves to hoard money.
Where's your grandmother?
She just ran over the hill.
Oh.
Where are you going?
Have you seen Enright?
You mean Longlegs?
We mustn't talk like that.
He's gone.
Gone? Where?
He drove off that way, and I don't think he's coming back.
When?
Just now.
Did you see it?
I'm so confused. Wasn't the whole point to find gold for money? Like, it's obviously a metaphor too, but like, I'm so confused right now.
Tall, good-looking man drive off.
Sure, why?
I want you to follow.
I can't. I gotta wait for the government.
Would you like to get shot? This is an emergency.
An emergency? Why didn't you say so? That's it. Get out of here. The government can wait.
Good night, Strawberry.
It's kind of hard start, too, especially in case of emergency. If you had said emergency, we'd have been there by now. Tell the government man where I went. There's a lot of stuff going on now.
looking for, Fancy Pants?
I'm looking for my bride.
She ran off a long
No
way.
one's here, but
Might have noticed.
I
There's
have
no
no idea
use,
where this
fellas.
is going.
White women ain't reliable. Better get back to the reservation. I don't want this thing to run into overtime.
Ain't you gonna chase her, Stanley?
No, I've done my best. I'm gonna get out of these fancy clothes and go back to practicing my roping.
I see. When did you first notice this strange behavior?
Ever since his return from Arizona.
Could be the climate. Tell him about your experience.
I was talking to him the other day, and he asked me if I thought a marriage could work out if two people weren't mated. Then he asked me if I thought numerology had anything to do with a person's vibration.
What's numerology?
Oh, it has something to do with numbers.
Perhaps he's evolving a new theory.
Nice to see you again.
Doctor,
How do you do?
this is Dr. Brewster, the head of the foundation. This is Jane Palmer.
How do you do? It's a pleasure, I'm sure. Won't you be seated?
If I can help Miss Palmer find a certain Dr. Enright, she's
And
promised
like
not to put
my
me
head's
in
like
jail.
fucking.
Jail? I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
Well, you see, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I've turned out to be an ass.
You don't need to say it.
We have a Dr. Enright right here on this floor.
Oh, I see what you mean. But not in this office.
No, he's just down the hall.
Is he a patient?
Well, in a way. But I'm just beginning to diagnose his case.
It was another woman. She's thrown him out of harmony.
I think we can get him back into harmony, okay?
My grandfather did a lot for this foundation, and I think the foundation should do something for me and Enright.
I'm sure the foundation can help you. And you can help the foundation.
That's what Enright always says. You must do things for others.
Yes, well, come with me.
Goodbye, Mr. Billingsley. I hope you grow fat on your ill-gotten gains.
You think I've got room?
As for me, I found something money can't buy. And don't ever try and come and give any of it back to me, because I positively refuse to take it. Not even if you come crawling to me on your hands. On your hands and knees.
Find Dr. Enright, 2 doors down.
He can be cured, can't he?
He's half cured now. You'll have to do the rest.
Isn't science wonderful?
It's coming along.
You're wonderful. Even Mr. Billingsley's wonderful, but I wouldn't let him know it.
I don't know. Maybe?
Well, Billingsley, it looks as if we might kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Well, I think you're hanging a rock around poor old Enright's neck.
Everybody to his own taste.
Speaking of taste, you happen to have any more of that nerve tonic kid is hidden right down there the last time I was here?
The foundation offers all kinds of service.
I'll just take it straight. I've seen everything anyway, and a few pink elephants won't matter. To you, Doc.
A penny for your thoughts.
Where did you come from?
Arizona.
Are you married?
Not yet.
What about the government man and all that money?
I'm going to let Grandma worry about that.
You mean you gave it all up?
Some people aren't meant to have money. Besides, being a chauffeur, I mean a kind of a chauffeur, I knew you were sensitive about those things. But now that I haven't any money anymore, there's no need to be sensitive. Naturally, I would have said something to you about it sooner if it hadn't been for that other woman. If you hadn't slapped me, everything might have been different, but you did, and that changed the whole course of nature, because when a man slaps a woman, that shows he loves her, especially if he's sober. I couldn't tell you how I felt before because that other woman was in your life, but now that you're cured, I feel I can speak freely. I think you're awfully foolish about a lot of things, but then none of it can be perfect, and I want someone to take care of me. I want it to be you. Why don't you say something, Enright? It's a wonderful relief. Go on, say something and see how much better you feel.
4 years in college,
Yes.
4 years in medical school,
Yes.
2 years as an intern.
Yes, keep
All I
talking.
ever wanted to be was a man of science. I wanted to do something for humanity.
I know you did.
I don't know why this should have to happen to me.
No, I know.
Shouldn't have happened.
No, go
It
on.
couldn't have happened.
Keep talking, keep talking. Yes, that's better. Don't you feel better now? Of course you do. Of course you do.
Really? talk about what the movie was about at the end. And that's the best ending you guys had. Anyways. Oh boy. That shit is exactly what they were trying to do. Make your head explode at the end. Because my head is exploded. Holy fuck. I love shit like that. That was really good. Definitely a classic. Definitely. So confused though. Like, he started off in the room as a psychiatrist, speaking to all these women. Then he took this job. Which was the same thing. Instead, it was like he had to be like more involved. But then in the end, he says that, but it's like, what do you mean? I know it's just a comedy, but I'm like, what was the like ending for? I guess they're just talking about like what is? I need to rewind that.
This was that of touch.
Again, just to understand.
Well, I'm very much interested in this report of Dr. Enright's.
You mean the relationship of biochemistry to mental cases?
Yes, he's one of our bright young men.
He's rather amusing, too. The other day, he suggested that the real psychopaths are wandering around the streets. That once a patient gets enough sense to visit a psychoanalytical clinic, he's half cured.
Well, that sounds reasonable. Well, Billingsley.
All right.
Dr. Ellsworth, Mr. Billingsley.
How do you?
Won't you sit down? Well, what brings you here?
Well, I'm pretty worried about Jane Palmer.
Is she ill?
Well, her extravagance has finally caught up with her. She's broke. And I'm afraid when she finds out about it, she might do something desperate.
Well, what can we do to help you?
Well, old Muttonhead Palmer was a good friend of mine. He did plenty for this foundation, and I think it's up to the foundation to do something for his granddaughter.
Is she a mental case?
And I think she's nuts.
Well, why don't you have her come in here for a consultation?
It'd be a whole lot simpler to send the foundation after her with a butterfly net.
Is she the hysterical type?
She wrote the book.
Before you go any further, I think you better have Dr. Enright in here.
Yes, sir?
Have Dr. Enright come in right away, please.
Sorry, Dr. Enright's in consultation.
Well, you seem to be in a pretty nervous state yourself. Can I pour you a glass of water?
No, but I'll settle for something stronger.
Oh, I think we might be able to take care of that, too.
So the intricate occurrences of our subconscious mind have to pass through the 5 doors of our senses. Now take the famous case of Robert Browning. His outstanding sense was that of touch. He used to fondle an apple before right.
You know what it means to me? It's like it's basically showing that everyone there is crazy. Like everyone there has a fucking problem. This guy drinks too much when he has issues. And then he takes it out on her too, kind of. And he says she has issues, and her issue is that she worked hard enough to be lonely enough to just spend for nothing, has no feelings, doesn't really have an open mind. She's very open-minded, actually. But when you know what? I'm not gonna say too much because I actually when I speak and I just go on a tangent, it doesn't get clear. But out of all of them, she was the most sane. It would seem like she's the most craziest, but she was actually very optimistic, and she was saying a lot of things. Like they even say like numerology and astrology and all these things. Like, anyways, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is everyone there is fucking crazy. But when you really go to the psychiatrist, which is the guy, to me, it's like what a lot of psychiatrists go through, because you're spending your day dealing with people's problems. And it's like an inception, you know? It's It's like a mirror, like behind me. You know when you put a mirror behind a mirror behind a mirror? It's just like reflections of why people have issues because of their issue, because of the other issue and the other issue that bleeds back and back. And like he's like the mirror basically, you know? And in the end he says, I just wanted to be a scientist. Because he's like, fuck, I wanted to be somebody, but then I didn't realize I didn't like this afterwards, you know? Like once I got here. It's obviously like more to that, but if you understand what I'm trying to say, you're just like inevitably searching for the next thing, even if you're like, oh, I got it, you know? Anyways, at least that's what it means to me. Like, because I remember I wanted to be a psychologist, and after I thought about it, and I was like, that is too much energy, bruh. Like, there's no way I could do that. But then you're like, we all kind of are psychologists, as well as kind of insane, you know? So it's like this inception of like just, if that's the right fucking word, of the mirror just going in and in, and the world goes around and around. And that's why your head after explodes, because you're just like, the fucking dog in the thing, then the party, then the mom with the grandma with the shotgun, and then the guy with the news, and like the little girl, and then the fucking guy. It's just like a whole bunch of shit going on, basically. Interesting. It's a very good movie, bro. Very, very, very good movie. Oh. Anyways, and that is it, bro. How long was this shit for? 92 minutes. Anyways, have a good day.